let's continue the Locked On Spurs season preview by asking 3 questions ahead of the new season.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs, right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for KENS 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. One more day, or as the kids say, one more sleep until Spurs action is back. Spurs take on the Dallas Mavericks tomorrow. But before we get to the game, we're going to be still looking at the season ahead by asking 3 questions. Now, there's so many questions you can ask. We're going to get to that in just a few minutes. But again, thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, KENS 5 Plus app, YouTube. Pick a platform. We are there. Hey, we also got a new newsletter, the Locked On Spurs newsletter. Check that out. There'll be a link in the description likely by the time this show gets uploaded. But nevertheless, yeah. Can you believe it? Spurs basketball is already here. Just less than a day. Spurs going to be taking on the Mavericks. It's going to be a fun time. We'll see how the boys look like once the ball goes up in the air for real. No preseason, no practice. This is the real deal. But look, there's so many storylines going into the new season, from Wemby's ascension to can the Spurs maybe overtake Vegas's projection and win over 35 games? Can there be a play-in berth? Middle of a postseason berth. Look, there's so many things, from Chris Paul's impact, Harrison Barnes, the rookie castle. There's too many questions going into this season. We're going to try to pick 3 that we want to discuss right here on Locked On Spurs. And I think you guys are probably thinking the same thing too. So who is helping me dissect the Spurs and boil it down to 3 questions? Our go-to guy over there at KENS 5. He is Vinnie Vinzetta. Where's Vinnie? There's the Vinnie. There's Vinnie. What's going on, Vinnie?
Hello, good sir. Oh, the NBA is back. We're happy. We're satisfied.
This is it. Yeah, the NBA kicked off yesterday with a pair of games, but your Spurs, everybody's Spurs here in San Antonio and across the globe, get things going on the road in Dallas. What is it with Dallas? Last 2 seasons in a row, that's been their opener, Dallas.
Yeah, one of the print writers brought that up to Wemby early in the week at media availability, and that jarred my memory. I was like, that's right, 2 years in a row. We're opening up with, as I like to call them, the little brothers to the north. If you will.
Ooh, he said little brothers. I like that. See, Vinny's already talking smack already, and it's not even game time yet, calling them little brothers.
Hey, they've been the big bros recently, but we're not going to let them have it. We're not going to let them think that.
Oh, no, not at all. No, when it comes down to titles, Mavericks fans, 5-1. 5-1. So Spurs are still the big boys on the block here in Texas. Make sure to follow Vinny on X at Vinzetta. He is a KENS 5 TV sports guy. He handles it down. Does a little bit of everything too. From even, I saw you, Vinny, eating massive onion rings. Did I see that right?
You probably did. Yes.
Okay, I thought I did.
I think that was at Filet's Burgers there on basically the southwest side. Yeah. So if you want to journey down that way for an afternoon lunch, I'd recommend giving them a shot. Is it health food? No, but it's fun. It's fun lunch, good old fashioned American type food.
Yeah. Vinny does it all for KENS 5 TV, whether it be sports, UTSA, Spurs, Cowboys, or eating onion rings. A man's got to do what a man's got to do for his paycheck. I understand, Vinny.
You never know where I'm going to pop up.
Yep. Yeah, I know. By the way, Vinny, some history for you. Uh-huh. You're one of the last few people that are going to be on Locked On Spurs with this behind me. It comes down next week.
You got a fresh look coming.
Fresh look coming. So we're probably going to pour one out for the nerd wall later on this week here on Locked On Spurs.
Are you going to miss that old look?
I am. I said in the last Locked On Spurs, there's something just organic about it. You know, like today's movies, it's like, oh, too much CGI. You know, what happened to practical effects? I feel like this is like a practical effect. A shout out to the throwback ways with just slapping stuff on the wall. CGI is coming to Locked On Spurs, so that's going to be interesting. But no, it looks good. Shout out to the KENS 5 technicians and media team. They're putting something together for me and you guys and KENS 5 that I think y'all will definitely like. But enough of that. Let's dive into it. Why is Vinny here? You can see on your screen. We're going to be asking 3 questions. He's the guest, so he gets 2 bites of the apple. So we'll give him that. I'll get 1 bite. But Vinny, before we get into what you want to ask, like I said in the intro, there's just so many questions about this team in the new season that we probably be here until game time dissecting them all. But this is an interesting squad, isn't it?
Lots of questions.
Yeah.
Lots of unknowns. They went from the youngest team by far in the league to no longer having that title because of the signings of CP3
Right.
and Harrison Barnes. But don't let that really fool you. There's still a lot of youth there. Now, I remember Media Day not from a month ago, but from a year plus ago, and it was last season. We're going to win. That didn't happen at all, finishing 22-60. Nope. So I think they are definitely dead set on winning. Like that's the mission, that's the goal. So I think that's the biggest curiosity for like me. Like, what really does winning mean? How far can they really go? And as you mentioned, Vegas has them at roughly 35-ish, and I'm not sure how far that gets you in the West chase. If you only improve. Now, would improving from 22 to 35 be a win? I guess so. But what does that really do for you in the playoff push?
Yeah, and in the West, nothing really, nothing at all. You're considered one of the worst teams in the West. Even 35, 36 wins is a bad season in the West. That just tells you how stacked the West is. You know, we're gonna get to our questions in a few seconds. But seriously, from the roster to even the kids up in Austin, you know, who might shine up there that might open eyes. Could it be Rodney Minix? Could he sneak in and get some time? Because he's likely going to be Austin bound. To Steph Castle, what is he? Is he a guard, just a guard, a point guard? There's so many questions. Seriously, guys, we really wish Vinny and I had all day to get them all in, but we just can't. So we're going to pick a couple questions from Vinny and then one from me. Vinny, you are the guest. Kick things off. What is your first question about your San Antonio Spurs?
So my first question, Mr. Jeff, is how much better will they be? Can they be? Should they be defensively? Do you mind if I read you a couple of numbers here?
Go ahead.
So last season, in the regular season, they started 3-2. So very early optimism. Then, if you recall, they lost 18 straight, sadly. Here were those opponents' numbers in that 18-game losing streak. This is the points they gave up night in, night out. Did the Spurs 126, 123, 123, 152, 126, 117, 118, 123, 129, 120, 124, 109, 118, 132, 137, 121, 102. Not bad. NBA 121, 93.
Under 100
and 122. So they cannot do that to start the season in the first 20, 25 games. They've got to be locked in defensively. Maybe not. I know it's the name of the podcast. Maybe not fully locked in early, but they've just got to be better defensively than giving up those kinds of numbers. And I saw in a few of the preseason games here and there, I saw open driving lanes for some of the preseason.
Yeah.
So they really need to come together as a group early. And I think that should be the bigger emphasis, because I feel like the offense, just kind of like it was last year, is gonna be there, and it's gonna evolve and get better. But I'm wondering how much better can they be defensively, because that to me is really where it's got to start for this club.
Yeah, absolutely. When you read those numbers, Popovich popped in this episode of Locked On Spurs. Here was his reaction. There is his reaction right there. Those numbers you just read off right now was just, I mean, that's how bad the season was. I went numb to that. Just numb to those kind of offensive numbers, points that Spurs gave up. That's just way too much. Look, Wemby is going to do his best. Like, you can pretty much pencil him in for the DPOY already by now. I mean, barring anything catastrophic or some other guy just outshines him, which I doubt. But he's going to do what he can. But I think they will get better with the additions of Steph Castle, the rookie, really good perimeter guard. Sohan back to his natural position. Maybe, he'll shake off the smell of being a point guard, because he hated it. He hated it. All right.
No, he's talked in the preseason about how basically for him life is getting back to normal. So I think that's a great point. And when you talk about life getting back to normal offensively, well, that's going to mean his entire game. Like, he's going to feel more comfortable back on the defensive end by not running back down court, knowing that you got to play point guard on your way back up. So yeah, that's going to be, I agree with you. That's a huge thought on Jeremy Sohan. I'm with you on that for sure.
Hey, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. You want to go to FanDuel.com right now. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So much when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You just got to go to FanDuel.com right now. Speaking of FanDuel.com, look, the NBA season is also around the corner. Spurs fans, time to have some fun with your silver and black on the court. The app is very easy to get, very easy to use, user-friendly, very intuitive. Make your picks, 1, 2, 3. Bet on parlays, bet on win spreads, totals. I mean, seriously, you can have so much fun with sports this sports season with FanDuel. Again, America's #1 sports book. You just got to get started with $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Yeah, you'll get started with that. And when you place your first $5 bet, you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Another reason why you got to go to FanDuel when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Go to FanDuel.com right now, America's #1 sportsbook.
This is Emilio Rivera, the Padrino for the Mayans MC. You are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Yeah, I think defensively they will get better. How much? Don't know. There's still a need for chemistry. I think Chris Paul talked about it one of the preseason games. Like no, chemistry still needs to be worked on, and that's what the preseason and practice is for. So hopefully they'll get better as the season moves on, defensively and offensively. But I think really, yeah, you're right. Defensive side of things, that's where they really got to get things, ship shape. Because
and look, I think that Wemby is going to rim protect. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Do what he does. And you're right. You can go ahead and pencil him in for Defensive Player of the Year. So I think it's the other guys that are around Victor that need to lock in defensively and really make sure they're playing assignments and switching when they need to switch and being where they need to be. It's the guys around him that I'm really looking for to step up their defensive game.
Sure. Yeah. Vinny, what is your second question you got on your list?
Where does Keldon Johnson go this year?
Ooh,
and maybe is he, I don't know, in my mind, Jeff, is maybe he the wild card that the Spurs need to see be as steady as possible, game in and game out. I was just loving how he transformed his body, Jeff,
for sure.
In the offseason. He put on bulk. He lost some of the extra weight. He's been really aggressive. I like what I saw in the preseason. I jotted down a few numbers. He had 20-4 against Utah. He had 15-5 that night down at Miami in the preseason. He was all over the place and having a blast in the open scrimmage the other day at the Frostbank Center. So really loving all the aggression I see from him.
Yeah.
But I think he's been a little streaky at times with shooting and maybe all of his play. So if the Spurs can get maybe that complete Keldon package,
sure.
he's a guy that, I don't, maybe I shouldn't go as far as say changing games, but he can really affect games with his length and his enthusiasm and his aggression. And he's shooting threes, and he was dunking all over the place again in that open scrimmage. So I'm just loving what I'm seeing from him so far.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think losing that excess weight, no longer the big body, he's a slim body now, is going to help him. Not just with his own NBA longevity, less stress on his body and carrying all that weight, but just makes him versatile, makes him quicker on the defensive end, quicker to the rim. We look at this point, that's KJ's bread and butter, just attacking the rim. Yeah. So if he could just get guys off the dribble, because he's again, a little quicker because of the weight loss, kudos like that. And of course he did add strength. Just because he lost weight doesn't mean he did not get stronger. Yes. He looks ripped. He pretty much looks like Vinny when Vinny's walking on the beach. That's what KJ looks like.
There's another rumor that we should spread. Thank you. I like that.
Yeah. That's when Vinny's going to love to spread that rumor around. Yes. But so overall, yeah, I do like him. Before we get into my question though, but I got to ask you, it kind of relates to my question, but I think y'all pick it up. Is he still on the table as far as trades? Is
Keldon?
He still on the Keldon?
I think I feel that way. Don't love feeling that way, but I think I do. Yes, I think I do. Yes, feel that way. Maybe I feel that way because he was already in that conversation last year. So I guess it's still there in my mind. Yeah, he's still in play.
Yep. Yeah, he's still in play. Yeah, but look, what I love about him too, and again, this is one of the questions we're not going to get into, but again, one for food for thought. That second unit. I mean, think about it. When healthy, this Spurs team will have KJ, Trey Jones, Steph Castle, Champagny, who's been playing great in the preseason.
Yeah,
Mamu shooting confidently. Zach Collins. This Blake Wesley. Malachi Branham. They could have a strong second unit, and leading the charge will be KJ, Vinny.
I can think of many worse second units around the NBA than those guys. I mean, the key there, I think, is to continue to develop and understanding those roles. I think that all of those guys you just mentioned are fine being in that second unit role, and Keldon said as much in early week media availability. That's up to Pop. He doesn't care. Keldon, I can't stress that enough to Spurs fans. Keldon does not care whether he's in the starting five or whether he comes off the bench. He just wants to do what he can to help this team win, because I've gotten the sense, and I've gotten it from Devin too, but Keldon is sick of the losing, man.
For sure. Yeah.
He just wants to get out there and contribute, play defense, rebound, just do anything he can to help the Spurs win. So I love that about the guy. And I want to add one more thing. Keldon loves San Antonio. I twice ran into him at a high school football scene and a college football scene this season. I love how he's immersed himself with the silver and black culture and the Spurs family and the great city of San Antonio. So he's a guy who wants to be here. We're not saying he's going to be here long term because of the conversation we just had about maybe still being trade bait, but he loves San Antonio. He loves the Spurs, and he wants this organization to win.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's absolutely a San Antonian. He's all about the community, from putting on holiday, season gift, donations for kids, back to school events. So he's all about the San Antonio community, and then some. Pretty much since day one, he's been like that. But KJ for sure. A good question to think about not only his present with the Spurs and his role, but his future with San Antonio, which leads to my question. And speaking of the future of the Spurs, let's be honest, Vinny, this team is still rebuilding. They're not out of the woods yet. They're a lot closer, but they're not out of the woods yet. And one thing we saw over the offseason was reportedly the Spurs' pursuit of that 1-2 punch to pair with Wemby, that second all-star, that second, power player to pair with Wemby to help him lighten the load. There were reports of the Spurs chasing Markkanen. There were reports of the Spurs chasing Trae Young. I think another guy, the guy out of Cleveland, Darius Garland, chasing him. Obviously, if the reports were true, the Spurs were looking for that secondary player alongside Wemby, which leads to my question is, will Devin Vassell emerge at the end of everything as the guy that the Spurs are needing to pair with Wemby? You hear everybody, the Spurs need an all-star next to Wemby. They need a proven young vet, next to that. What if they have it right in their own backyard? And that's Devin. He had a pretty good season last year. Finished the season strong before he got injured. I believe in the last 2 months before he got injured, Vinny, I looked this up, he was averaging a little over 20 points per game in those final 2 months before they shelved him. So he's there. But of course, the question within the question is, can he remain healthy? So overall, that's what I'm looking at. That's my question. Will Devin emerge as that guy, as that secondary player? He talked about it to close last season, saying he feels that he is. He wants to work more chemistry with Wemby, but I'm going to be watching that, his progression. Will he stay healthy? Will he emerge? Will he take that next step? And the Spurs maybe don't have to be searching everywhere for that secondary player. They already have them in their own roster. Vinny, your thoughts? And when I talk to you about Game Time, go to gametime.co right now. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets easier for your favorite live events that much better. Game Time filters out the fluff, so you only get incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets. Hey, Game Time has it all. They have the super deal. They got seats view before you buy. They got curated deals to make it easier to find the best price on great seats. The lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. You will be pleasantly surprised with this app. Go get it right now. Game Time Picks, again, that's a curation that makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater. Hey, they have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time.
This is Zach Aguilar, the voice of Tanjiro Kamado, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
He wants to be that guy. You're exactly right. And I really do want to believe that he's going to be that guy. But I feel like I need to see just a little bit more. Remember the great Lou Williams, who retired a couple of years ago? So he was always referred to as a professional scorer. That's exactly what Devin Vassell is. The guy can score the darn basketball really from anywhere. He stake that claim to him, put that asterisk by him, put that moniker by him. He is a professional scorer without question, no doubt. Does he become some of the players that you just mentioned? And does he become that all-star next to Wemby? I'm cautiously optimistic that the answer is yes. I feel like I need to see a little bit more, which is not his fault. He's fought some injury stuff. And sadly, he's going to start this season in some street clothes, I guess, trying to get healthy. But I'm going to lean that the answer is going to get to be yes. He is going to wind up being that complimentary player. I just love all the tools, love the attitude. He's not a guy that talks a game and doesn't back it up. He has backed it up.
Yes.
He's not even in his prime yet, for crying out loud. I mean, he's entering his prime. I mean, he's still a very young guy. He's got everything you need. So I feel like he's on his way to being that guy. Yes.
Yeah. I think it's there for him to take that leap. And I think the Spurs will do everything they can to help him do that. Because, I mean, him and Wemby, they could be a nice 1-2 combo for the rebuild. Like, they'll get to a point where they might be listed among the NBA's best combo players in the league. They're not there yet, largely due to Vassell's injury history and him staying on the court. At this point in the NBA era, I guess, Vinny, gone are the days of players playing full 82 games, unless your name is Harrison Barnes. But I mean, if I'd be happy with 70, 65, just to be generous, something like that. Just be available. And I think that's, for me, the biggest concern regarding Vassell's future as that secondary player to pair with Wemby. Look, I'm not going to say no if a player out there, De'Aaron Fox or Lauri Markkanen, I know that whole situation, let's just pretend it pops up again. The Spurs have a chance to get him. And Devin's the price tag, I mean, you're going to have to do it. But if those kind of offers don't pop up and you have Devin there, I think that's not a bad situation for San Antonio. But look, everybody, there's so many questions. I get it. We didn't even touch on CP3's impact. I think that's another big question. Another big question is Wemby's ascension. How much further can this kid get? Look what he just did in his rookie season. So many questions. Let us know what you think. What are your questions? You can let Vinny know on X at VVinzetta. You can let me know by simply going to the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. Leave a comment there. We'll likely read it on a future episode of Locked On Spurs and subscribe. And speaking of the Locked On Spurs YouTube page, it's time to dive into the mailbag here. see what Locked On Spurs fans are chit-chatting about. Say this much to Vinny, they're definitely geared up for the season. That's for sure. That is for sure.
No doubt.
All right, here we go. Our first question is from Juice32. He says, Pop made it clear he likes bringing in Castle and Wesley together for their lockdown defense. What do you think about that? Thank you, by the way, Juice32, the comment about the Wesley Castle pairing on the court.
I like it.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't remember who it was now, but after one of the preseason games, somebody up on the podium was commenting. It might have been Zach Collins.
Yeah.
About really Blake Wesley wants to come in there and lock down on D. And so that was very encouraging to hear. I think it was Zach, and he was like saying that's what he wants to do. That's the guy. He takes pride in doing that. And obviously Castle is a guy that's known for his defense. So I personally, in a second unit, I would be really excited about that combo playing defense together.
Yeah. I mean, you want to, beef up that defense, as you mentioned to start the show. You can't go wrong with having Wesley and Castle on that court to lock down the perimeter defense. Last season, Vinny, how many times did we see the Spurs get torched from deep?
A lot.
Seriously, it was ridiculous. I mean, insert player name on opposing team, and they had a field day from the 3 line. It was that porous. There was no defense. Castle and Wesley would do that. By the way, speaking of Wesley, Vinny, he looks like he may have taken the next step in his development. He looks much more improved. Even got praise from the vet Harrison Barnes in preseason. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think the hesitancy that you may have seen last year, it's gone. I mean, he's very authoritative out there, and he's moving with the basketball, moving without the basketball. He's cutting, he's finding shooters, taking shots himself. So yes, I just think overall much more aggressive. Yes, definitely seeing that out of Blake Wesley. 100% agree.
Absolutely. Our next comment comes from Blazin. Now he's reacting to the latest shots fired moment from Shaquille O'Neal. Again, directing it at Victor Wembanyama. Now, before I read this comment, let's make some disclosures. As Shaq did say that Wemby is very, very good. Shaq even complimented the Spurs for bringing in CP3 to help Wemby. But with that being said, for those of y'all who did not hear, Shaq did say that he's not ready to list Victor Wembanyama among the NBA's cream of the crop players, the best of the best. He's not there yet. As a matter of fact, in Shaq's personal player rankings, he ranked Wemby 30 overall in the NBA. 30 overall. With that being said, Blazin says Shaq is just bringing back the Spurs hate they had when they were just good. That means they, Spurs, are doing something right. What do you think about Mr. Shaquille O'Neal? He's going to couch it by saying, and he did say it, he goes, I hope this angers Wemby. But it just feels like, Shaq, let the kid breathe. Let the kid grow. Let him develop on his own. By the way, Vinny, before you get your reaction to this, why did Shaq say he's not ready to put Wemby in the upper crust of the NBA players list? Because Wemby has not guided the Spurs to the playoffs.
Yeah, Shaq has really been kind of tough on Victor from the word go. But when you say that Shaq says, I hope this angers Wemby, that makes me wonder if Shaq is just kind of playing some reverse psychology here, trying to get in Victor's head, and Victor takes it personally. And that very well may be what it is, because Shaq's a fun, interesting character. He always is up for mixing it up and chopping it up. But I don't recall if that ranking was 30 or 31, but that's way too far down.
It's way low.
Victor on everybody else's list is much, much higher. So I'm going to go with this is Shaq trying to fuel Wemby's personal fire. And I think to that, we can say, Shaq, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Shaq. Now, Shaq, if Wemby's averaging a near triple-double every night, thank you very much. But, again, this is not the first time Shaq has taken shots at the Spurs. He's taking shots at the organization. He's taking shots at Tim Duncan. He's taking shots. Well, we know the big one, the ultimate one, the David Robinson mess. Remember that? Where ultimately he admitted that he made up this whole slight that Robinson gave him. Never did happen. So, and the guy's he was raised in San Antonio for
Cole High
you know,
School,
for his Cole High School. So, and he never claims, he'll mention that he lived in San Antonio, but he claims New Jersey as his home. But Shaq, look, okay, Shaq, fine, you saved your butt by saying, I hope this angers him, but at the same time, ease up on the kid. And by the way, last I checked, Vinny, Wemby's resume says NBA center for the San Antonio Spurs, not general manager. That's up to the GM to put together a team to help Wemby get to the postseason. You know, Wemby can only do so much with the players around him. That's up to Brian Wright and his staff. Hey, before we let you go, Vinny, I've been noticing some boxes that are behind you there. What's going on back there? You got something good for the city of San Antonio cooking?
Yeah, I got some box building going on back here. We do our annual Jingle Mart toy drive. I'm board president of the nonprofit Adoption Priorities here in the city, and I work alongside the good folks at the South Texas Alliance for Orphans, and we collect toys and essentials, toddlers to teens, newborns to 18-year-olds, for children stuck in the foster system inside the child welfare system, and children stuck in kinship homes, or not stuck, but children in kinship homes, which means that when mom and dad aren't up to task, that the kiddos are placed with an aunt and uncle, grandma, grandpa, older sibling, whatever, and that can be a real financial burden. So massive toy drive. We have every high school at Northeast, Northside, Cibolo Shirts, Alamo Heights. We have Piper High School in Comal. We have East Central. We have a lot of, 20, 25 plus high schools in the city and countless businesses. And we get all those, I get the right thumb here. We get all those boxes filled up, and we have a big event on Sunday, December 15th. And we bless countless families here in San Antonio and South Texas.
For more information, you want to go to Vinny's X handle. Simple as that. Just go to Vinnie Vinzetta. He'll likely have all the information there if you want to help donate or just get involved. Some way, somehow, let Vinny know you're interested. And again, you see it on your screen if you're watching on the YouTube side of things at Vinnie Vinzetta. Vinny, we thank you for coming here on Locked On Spurs. And by the way, for me and Vinny, yes, we know there are tons of questions we didn't get into. You know how Spurs fans can be. Vinny didn't bring up Harrison Barnes. Trash episode. There's just so many, okay? But let us know your questions. Again, Vinny is at V Vinzetta on X. I am at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Vinny, as always, it's been a pleasure. And again, one of the last guests here with the Nerd Wall.
Look forward to seeing the new look. Can't wait.
I got a sneak preview of what the kids did in the tech department there. First of all, I told them flat out, I said, okay, y'all gonna have to come over here and show me how to use that stuff. If that looked like something out of, keep it with a nerd trend, something out of Star Wars. Seriously, I was like, what am I looking at? It's like a freaking android coming into my apartment. Nice. They rigged this pretty much like a mini mobile studio. They rigged something together that I can have compact here.
They do great work.
So, yeah, they did great work. Yeah. Actually, this week would have been the first week without this, but I got sick last week. So I warned the tech people, don't come over. Don't come over. You're going to get sick. And they're like, we'll do. We ain't going to come over here. So
good on you. Good on you. Keep everybody healthy.
Yeah. Keep everybody healthy. Yeah. But yeah, I got crushed, man. I'm just coming off it. But again,
you sound better. You sound better for sure.
Yeah. I'm getting there. I'm still not out of the woods yet. I'm like 80% recovered. So still not there. Still get the old sleepless nights, and you know how colds act up at night. So still get that more. But nevertheless, hey, we appreciate you, Vinny, and everything. And again, everybody, if you want to give credit to Vinny for helping KJ lose that weight, again, you let him know on X at V Vinzetta, because that's how Keldon got inspiration, by looking at Vinny. He's like, how can I get like that? How can I get, showing off the guns there. All right, Vinny, we appreciate. What better way to end it than Vinny flexing right here on Locked On Spurs? So for everybody else, thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, you know where to go to subscribe to us. And we have a Locked On Spurs newsletter. Yes, it will likely be in the description below. Go sign up. It's brand new up from the Locked On NBA network. So I'm glad to see that going in that direction, doing good things ahead of the new season. Speaking of the new season, we'll be back tomorrow to get you ready for the game. Yes, we're going to be talking about X's and O's in games soon, tomorrow. Woo, cannot wait. So yeah, it's back. So we're going to be discussing that and so much more. So for Vinnie Vinzetta, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.